Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, just been getting through life, I guess. Um, it's been pretty much about the same. A little bit busy this week, but aside from that, it's been pretty typical. And overall, I'd say I've been doing good. How about you?
I wish I could say the same. It's been like a rough week. I had a rough day today as well. Don't really want to go talking about it now, but I wish it was a little better. I think it goes not only is it crazy right now for me, but it's been crazy here in Southern California as well. Luckily, we don't have to deal with what's been going on, which is the fires. And we're going to talk about how that has been affecting the NBA later on. But yeah, it's a very sad situation, chaotic situation. Like, even though we didn't get hit with the fires, the Santa Ana winds were kicking our asses earlier this week. We have to get a new trash recycling bin because it got blown away. We don't know what happened to it. So we have to call the garbage company to get a new one, and we're not getting one until February 5th, right after your
Oh,
birthday. So that's kind of insane. But
oh my gosh.
I
So,
can't believe that happened. But yeah, it's gone.
so, shit. I mean, in that case, how do you think you guys are gonna handle recycled trash in the meantime? Are you just gonna put it in the regular trash, or maybe ask the neighbor if you can put it in theirs? Or
We haven't thought about that, but we did talk about just getting a big cardboard box and putting all of the cardboard and recyclables in there for now. But that's gonna be like
yeah,
3-4 weeks of doing that. So
yeah. I
uh,
mean,
we're gonna have a lot of.
hopefully you hopefully you do not have too much of like recyclable trash within that time span. And I feel like if your neighbor doesn't really have like a super faux bin, I'm sure they should be fine with you just adding some in there. Because at the end of the day, all of it, regardless of which trash can you use, goes to the garbage company. So I feel
Uh-huh.
like it wouldn't really make much of a difference.
Yeah, we're cool with a
Um,
few of our neighbors, so I'm sure if we ask them, they might be fine with it.
Definitely. But yeah, that's crazy. You just lost your trash can.
Dude, it was
Oh
so
man.
apocalyptic like earlier this week. There was like the street lights were working. Driving to work, I saw several like police cars driving by, ambulances, trash cans everywhere. I saw a lamppost
Mm.
falling down. It's been crazy, and that's not even like the worst of the
Crazy.
worst. Like we have it good here. We've got it good compared to again what's been going on in LA and the surrounding areas over there. Hopefully everybody is doing fine. Yeah, I know there's a lot of bad stuff going on, which is unfortunate. Maybe we could leave a link. I'll try to do that. Leave a link for people to donate if you would like, because yeah, it's a sad situation. But we'll talk about that later. Let's not start things off with such a downer, and let's talk some basketball. And we're gonna start off, the usual way. We're going to start off with the standings. Now, I believe I did West Coast last time, right? So is it your turn?
I believe so. So without further ado, let's get started. So sitting at the very bottom of the Western Conference, we got the Pelicans at 15 with a 8 and 31 record. At 14, we got the Jazz with 9 and 27 record. At 13, we got the Trailblazers with a 13 and 24 record. And then a little bit of a gap. And at number 12, we got the Suns at 17 and 19. At number 11, we got the Spurs at 18 and 19. At number 10, we got the Warriors at 19 and 19. At number 9, we got the Kings at 19 and 19. At number 8, we got the Clippers at 20 and 17. At number 7, we got the Timberwolves also at 20 and 17. At number 6, we got the Lakers at 20 and 16. At number 5, we got the Mavericks at 22 and 16. Number 4, we got the Nuggets at 22 and 16. Number 3, we got the Grizzlies at 24 and 14. At number 2, we got the Rockets at 25 and 12. And sitting at the very top, we still have OKC at 31 and 6. So those are the Western Conference standings.
Now, for the Eastern Conference, at the very bottom, of course, it's the Wizards at number 15 with a 6 and 30 record. Number 14 is the Raptors with an 8 and 30 record. Number 13 is the Hornets with an 8 and 27 record. Number 12, the Nets with a 13 and 25 record. Number 11, the 76ers with a 15 and 21 record. At number 10, it's the Bulls with an 18 and 20 record. The Hawks are at number 9 with a 19 and 19 record, and so is the Pistons. The Pistons also have a 19 and 19 record with the 8th spot. At number 7, we've got the Heat with a 19 and 17 record. The Pacers at number 6 with a 21 and 18 record. The Magic at number 5 with a 22 and 18 record. The Bucks at number 4 with a 20 and 16 record. Next at number 3 with a 25 and 25 and 14 record. Celtics at number 2 with a 27 and 11 record. And at the top, like always this season, is the Cavs with a 33 and 4 record, topping the not only the Eastern Conference but the entire NBA. They're the number 1 team right now, and probably the number 1 team we're gonna talk about right now for the W list. We should move on to the W and L list. We're being efficient today. We're being efficient. So, hoops. How are your thoughts on the Cavs' amazing long win streak, getting that win over OKC, who had a 15-game winning streak, and snapping that? Cavs and Thunder was such a hyped matchup because, the number 1 in the East, number 1 in the West, who will, be victorious. And it was the Cavs, and it was a pretty close game too. It was a great game. So, what are your thoughts on the Cavs and how they've not only been this week, but especially against the Thunder?
Not really needing much of an explanation other than the fact that they have continued to be rolling lately. And now, obviously, their statement win of the week was against OKC. 1 seed in the East, 1 seed in the West. Best record in the league, second best record in the league. And the Cavs just showed out, and they ended up winning that game. And it was definitely a statement win. They ended up beating the Thunder by 7 points, which is pretty good competitive. And I believe that was the first game from the Cavs win streak that was single digits. And then they ended up having another single digit game the next night, but that's not part of the point because we're talking about that game specifically being the highlight. I didn't get to watch the game, but from seeing the box score, I see that it was a very good back and forth shifty game. OKC led for a good amount in the first quarter, and then the Cavs came climbing back, and it was a lot of back and forth before ultimately the Cavs were able to pull out with a win at home. And it was definitely a good one, and it's cool. These teams do happen to play again next week on Thursday in OKC. Now, a little bit mixed feelings there because I feel like honestly it probably would be better if the games are more spread out, so that way we know how the two teams fare across the season as opposed to only playing in a certain stretch, especially knowing because they only play each other twice a year, Western Conference versus Eastern Conference. So I don't necessarily like the NBA scheduling there, but it'll be exciting to see part 2 next week, and expect nothing short of another good back and forth. But I think, obviously, Still a lot of season left, but so far the Cavs have been proving that they are for real. Hopefully they can maintain it.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a great point on like how unfortunate their next matchup, uh, how it's gonna be so close. Like it's next Thursday. Like, uh, it would be nice to have a gap between these games, especially like maybe Chet will return. How would the Cavs be able to handle the Thunder with Chet in the lineup? That would have been cool to see, especially since it's still like January. A lot can happen until the playoffs. So I think you did bring up a great point there. But yeah, a great game for the Cavs. They won by committee, which is what they've been doing this season. Donovan Mitchell didn't have the best game, but the rest of the Cavs showed out. The bigs over there were amazing, with Jen Allen looking like the best player on the floor that day, at least for the Cavs. Evan Mobley hit like a very great timely shot, bodying Isaiah Hartenstein, and getting the bucket there. So, yeah, great win for them. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they like undefeated against the West, something like that? Like they lost
They
to
might be.
the Hawks twice, to the Celtics once. Um, how many how many times have they lost this
They lost
season?
4 games,
Four
but I don't
games.
remember who
Yeah, I don't
the other
remember
game.
the other game either. It wasn't the Bucks, was it? The
It
Pistons?
was the Heat.
The Heat? I don't remember that, but
Yeah, in Miami, which was a little bit of a shocker, but
yeah,
yeah, you're correct. They did not lose to a single Western Conference
that's a
team.
crazy stat. That's insane.
Yeah, especially knowing that the Western Conference is the superior conference,
Oh
as we
yeah,
always say when we announce the standings. So, yeah, very impressive there for sure.
West Coast is the best coast. Like the West is so dominant, yet the Cavs are undefeated. That's crazy. But because of this game and hearing all the great things about them, like them being undefeated in the West, they're on track to possibly matching the Warriors' um, regular season record from 2016. I'm starting to believe in the Cavs. I think they could make it into the finals. Like I've been not fully confident in them because we haven't really seen them pan out throughout the years. But this year with Kenny Atkinson like taking the reins as the coach, that they really are proving to be one of the best teams in the season, and I could see them easily making it into the finals. It's between them and the Celtics for me now, not just the Celtics anymore.
Yeah, sounds about right. And a lot of statement wins, obviously undefeated against the Western Conference, being arguably, if not the most impressive of all. Um, yeah, I think the Cavs definitely are making a case for sure. Hopefully, maintain it throughout, and I would not mind seeing these two teams in the finals.
Oh
Four
yeah,
game or 7 game series. Put me in. That'd
yeah,
be cool.
that'll be competitive. Yeah, that would be cool. So shout out to the
Definitely.
Cavs. Let's stick with the East still and talk about Trae Young and the Hawks. Not the craziest week for them, but they did have one of the craziest games of the week, other than probably the Cavs and Thunder game, because the Hawks were facing the Jazz. It was a close game. Uh, Trae Young was having an amazing game. He had 24 points, 20 assists, another 20-20 game for him. And yeah, it was down the stretch. Sexton uh, was able to hit this contested three to tie the game 121-121 with 3 seconds left. The Hawks didn't have any more time out, so they inbounded the ball to Trae Young. He like casually, nonchalantly brought up the ball to half court, shot it from half court, and made the game-winning shot, which was the sixth longest game winner in NBA history. What a crazy, exciting ending, especially for Trae Young, who had an amazing game with another 2020 game this year. Just sealing the game with a half court game winner, which is probably within range for Trae Young. He's one of the few players that could shoot from that far. Probably him, Curry, maybe that's a Dame, maybe. So, yeah. I don't know if you were able to see at least the game winning shot, but I thought that was a very exciting game, so that's why I decided to put them in the list.
Yeah, I mean, as mentioned, not the greatest of weeks for the Hawks in general, but that game itself um, was the highlight of the week. And yeah, very entertaining ending. Obviously, Jazz are not a good team, but hey, the Hawks were able to get the job done and get the win at the end. And yeah, back and forth. You know, this this reminded me a lot of do you remember in the 2021-2022 season, the game between the Thunder and the Pelicans, the one when
Yeah,
Shea made the game-winning three, and then Devontae Graham hit the half-court shot? This reminded me of that
that was
sequence.
crazy. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I kept replaying
because
that
like,
highlight over and over because it was so insane.
imagine you just made a very clutch three-pointer to tie the game, and you're getting all high, and then suddenly the opposition makes a half court shot and you lost. You thought you were gonna at least go to overtime? Not so fast. Yeah, very reminiscent to the Thunder Pelicans game from 21-22. And yeah, that was a thrilling ending. And it was clearly in range for Trae. As mentioned, him, Steph, and Dame are like the few guys that can shoot those like without a sweat. And yeah, shout out to the Hawks for getting a much needed win there. It was really cool, definitely for sure. And I agree, definitely one of the highlights of the week, probably behind the Thunder and the Cavs game. But you could argue if you're talking about like one specific moment, this was the number one moment
Yeah, it's
versus like Thunder and Cavs was the number one game. Yeah, this was a really cool moment. Definitely worthy of being on W. And hopefully Hawks can carry some momentum again. But in the meantime, very cool sequence there for between these two teams.
yeah. The only thing is that do feel bad for Colin Sexton because this is like the second time this season he got robbed out of his game winner. Because this could have been his game winning three, but Trae Young made the last minute a difficult shot, and then I don't know if you remember, maybe a month ago, I think it was Jazz versus the Lakers, where Colin Sexton was going for a layup for the win, and as like right before he shot the layup, his coach called a timeout for no reason, and the basket went in, but like, because they called a timeout, it didn't count. So his like game winning
Yeah,
layup didn't count.
yeah, I remember that was a bullet dodged for the Lakers for sure. Um, First off, that game should have never been that close. Second off, for a basket that was made to not count due to coach calling timeout, definitely tough. Because after that timeout, I believe that they didn't even inbound the ball properly. It just sailed out of bounds or something. So I think that's what happened. But I know for a fact they turned the ball over. It might or might not have been on the inbound pass, but nonetheless, tough, very, very tough sequence there. You went from potential game tying shot to no basket at all. Yeah. But yeah, definitely feel for Sexton. He had one game tying shot taken away, and then he had one it's nullified due to a Trae Young game winner. Overall, though, yeah, Colin Sexton has his moments. It's just the opposition tends to have their checkmate, and not on him, but tough luck.
Yeah, tough luck. Moving on, a quick winner right here. Just today, Paolo Banchero is back, ladies and gentlemen. He's been injured for a while, I think since November. And, luckily, the Magic have been doing pretty well without him, especially when Franz Wagner was out. He was looking like an all-star, helping carry the team offensively. Unfortunately, he also got injured. They've just been having the injury bug over there in Orlando. But now Paulo is back. Great to see an all-star coming back. And it looks like he didn't skip a beat like at all. He had 34 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Did a little bit of everything. Unfortunately, they did lose. But still, happy to see Paulo back in the league.
Definitely. I mean, obviously one of the top young players under 25. And yeah, glad to see him back for sure. Obviously, Magic were able to still win some games without him and Franz, impressively enough. But with him back, definitely needed and very much Magic could potentially maybe climb the ladder. I mean, so yeah, good for Paulo. It's nice to see him back, and Magic, I'm sure they will also get better as a team now.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's go over a few teams that have some nice win streaks. Hoops, do you want to cover the first one?
Yeah, so starting with first team I have is the Indiana Pacers, who are currently on a 5-game win streak and well positioned at the moment, currently sitting at the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. As part of their streak, they had wins over the Heat, Suns, Nets, Bulls, and Warriors. Not necessarily the most impressive stretch of teams, but they actually won every single game by double digits with a minimum of 12 points. So good for them there. They've been doing pretty good lately. Matter of fact, as in addition to winning 5 in a row, they also won. Let's see what it was. They won like 11. Okay, I'm not. It's gonna be tough to do all of this right on hand, but like they've had much more W's than L's within the last month. In December they had a 5-game win streak, and then now they're on another 5-game win streak, and then in between they only lost 3 games. So they won. Okay, here's what it is: 11 of their last 14 games. Pretty impressive there. So Pacers, after having a relatively slow start to the season, they are climbing up the ladder. So good for them. And also, Tyrese Halliburton is looking more like himself again after his slow start to the season. So that is also good.
Yeah, beating the wash allegations. I see. A very sneaky win. Not a win streak, but a sneaky great couple of months for the Pacers, I guess.
Yeah. No, yes, win streak, but a good month in general for sure. Yeah, good for them. The next team I had on the W list is the Pistons. They were on a 5-game win streak before losing against the Warriors on Thursday. But nonetheless, that was a good win streak they had going on. Obviously, before the season, no one expected the Pistons to be good. We also expected them to be one of the worst teams in the league in general, and they have been shockingly impressive. They currently sit at 8th in the Eastern Conference, and they are at 500, 19-19. Way better than people expected. Matter of fact, they are 8-2 in their last 10 games, which is also quite insane. The fact that no one really thinks of JB Bickerstaff as a good head coach, he's been doing his thing shockingly, and so credit to him, honestly.
Just piggybacking off what you said, no one expected the Pistons to be this good. I think they took like a long time to get to the same amount of wins they do have now. So it's cool to see that this team is finally progressing. Cade is actually winning games, which is cool to see because he has been balling for Detroit, but now it's coming with wins. So shout out to them.
Definitely. And so that brings us to the next team on the W list, the Sacramento Kings. Very impressive 6-game win streak right now. And the team has been hot ever since Doug Christie took over. And their best win since actually came just tonight on Friday night against the Celtics. Was a very good and shocking, commanding 17-point blowout win in Boston. Definitely very unexpected, but very cool to see that happen. And yeah, the Kings have been rolling ever since the move. And so that kind of brings us a possible question now. Was Mike Brown the problem after all? I guess, Memo, how would you answer that question? Do you think, in hindsight, the unpopular move is what was needed to be made for this team to turn things around? Or what do you think?
It's obvious that this move did help. At the moment, it has helped. You know, they have a 6-game win streak. They look like a different team. They look like they've been revived. I did hear that Mike Brown was losing the locker room before getting fired, so that definitely played a role into all this. I don't think Mike Brown should have been fired, but at the moment it's working. So I guess we were wrong. Like, I guess that this is a move they needed to do, but at the same time, how much better are the Kings gonna get? Because they're still very flawed. There's like no defense going on. They have defensive pieces, obviously, but with your star center not being a great defender, that does hurt. That does hurt teams. So some of the best teams in the league have a star, not a star, but like a great defender. When you talk about the Lakers with AD, Celtics with Kristaps, even Al Horford can play defense. The Cavs got Jaren Allen, Evan Mobley. Thunder got Chet, Hardenstein. You need a good defender at your center position. The Kings don't have that, so I don't think this is gonna, rocket them up to like a home court advantage 4th seed position. But they might make the play-in because of the firing. So if that's the goal, then yeah, sure. Firing Mike Brown was the move, but long term though, no. Like, the Mike Brown was the culture. You needed to get defenders on the team. Instead, you got DeRozan. So yeah, you might make the play-in, but but is that the goal for Sacramento? Is that what we're striving for? I guess since it's Sacramento, it's not like they do a lot of winning, but
bar there.
Yeah, the bar shouldn't be this low. So shout out to Doug Christie. He's doing great things. He'll probably get them to the play-in tournament, maybe, but that wasn't the goal for Mike Brown. The Mike Brown wanted to continue being a playoff team, and unfortunately, he did not get the pieces on the Kings to be that playoff team. So I guess this is the move they needed to do because it's working at the moment. But yeah, again, long term, I don't think this is gonna pan out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff you said, I agree. I thought that the move was definitely wrong, like in terms of like it wasn't a very good classy decision to be made. But in the moment, Doug Christie has been absolutely impressing, and the Kings look like a completely different team, a much better team at the moment, and we'll see how long they can keep this going. But a lot of impressive wins lately, including the Celtics game being obviously by far the most impressive one. So we'll see how this team does going forward. I think that I agree with you. There is a good chance that they do make the play-in tournament. From there, we'll see whether they'll actually make the playoffs. And if they do make the playoffs, they're definitely going to be a first-round outing for sure. But even then, obviously, that's progress. I mean, last year they missed the playoffs as a whole. So step in the right direction there if that does happen. But nonetheless, only time will tell how good of a move that really was. I mean, Doug Christie keeps this up. He could be higher, end up going from interim to full-time head coach. That'd be cool for him. But we'll see. At the moment, so far so good. But time will tell how long this lasts for.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can move on to some like smaller winners. Some quickies like Eddie Edwards had 53 points in a recent game in a loss, but still cool to see a 50 bomb this week. If you're a fan of big men going at it, Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama had two great matchups earlier this week, with the Spurs winning the first one and the Nuggets winning the second one, and they both had like pretty crazy stat lines. I'm trying to pull it up right now. But yeah, in the first game, Jokic had 41 points, 18 rebounds. Wemby had 35 points, 18 rebounds. And in the second game, Nikola Jokic had 46 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, while Wemby had 20 points, 23 rebounds, and 4 blocks. So some insane stuff there. And since we're talking about the Nuggets, I just want to shout out Westbrook really quickly for looking great recently. Like, him and Jokic are a perfect match together. They work so well together. I think today they both had triple doubles in the same game. Yeah, Westbrook is a great fit over there for the Nuggets, and he has helped them a lot recently. And last shout out LiAngelo Ball for his song "Tweakin'." Have you heard it?
Yeah. I must serve in the corner.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a banger,
good,
man.
It's a sneaky good song.
Yeah, definitely a very 2000 vibe. And yeah, that's pretty much what everyone's been saying, that it's a very 2000 vibe song. It's not like the mainstream modern rap. And respect to Jello, honestly. I mean, like, if I know obviously his basketball career hasn't necessarily panned out the way he may want it to be, but coming up with a banger like this, maybe he found his new profession, and that'd be cool. And you know what's funny is I think didn't he put his label as Ball Brothers instead of just LiAngelo Ball? So I think that may mean that like either all there's a chance maybe possibly Lonzo wrote the song and he did
Well,
the
he
rapping.
did. He did. Lonzo is credited as the lyricist for that song.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. That's probably why he wanted to shout out um the entire Ball Brothers. That's cool there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been really funny how memes it's been for the last week. Um, I mean, obviously, maybe you saw the TNT studio during like the halftime break. Like, you know how like when they show the highlight and then the score at halftime,
Yeah.
and then they played that song in the background, and then Shaq was dancing to it, and then there was another like it was just like YouTube short TikTok type meme where like studio member says the lyrics and then they tell them to
Oh, I
finish it,
saw that.
but all
Yeah.
they need to finish it is the whoa. Yeah, that was funny. And then of course like a lot of NBA locker room reactions or playing the song in the background. Oh, that's funny. I think the funniest one was the Donovan Mitchell one when he's like, the fact that the song just came out and you already know the lyric, man, is crazy. And then he's like, shout out Leangelo Ball, I guess. Yeah, that was funny, man. But yeah, overall this song has been pretty good, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I
It's
I
got
will say like
a like
here,
southern rap flair to it. You know, very Nelly like, Nate Dogg even. Uh,
yeah.
very surprising.
I also heard Manny Fresh as another name these
Mm.
people say. Yeah, it's been funny. But yeah, it's been good too, sneaky good.
Sneaky good. So I guess he's not the biggest disappointing ball brother after all. They all found their
Yeah.
own success in a way.
Yeah, that's true. He may be the biggest disappointment basketball wise, but you talking life wise, all of them are successful one way or another. So shout out Ball Brothers. And honestly, shout out LeVar also for
Shout
raising
out
them.
LeVar.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to mention from like everything we just talked about? The Leangelo Ball, the Jokic Wemby battle, anything otherwise, or should we move on?
Not really too much I think I really need to mention because you pretty much summed it up well. Obviously, Ant had a really good 53-point performance. Granted, it was in a loss, but nonetheless, very impressive feat there. Um, Jokic and Wemby, battle of European big men, always fun to watch. And obviously, the two teams split, and that was also cool. Russ also had his moments. Um, Russ and Wemby kind of had like a little bit
Oh
of
yeah,
a
yeah.
not not like a crazy heated moment, maybe like a little bit of like a disagreement moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think they immediately um were cool the next play or so. So that was cool there. And then obviously we already talked about LeAngelo's banger. So overall I think not a whole lot to say except cool, interesting headlines throughout this week. I think this is a good segue for us to now move on to the L list.
All right, and the first thing I want to cover in the L list as I'm knocking over these cans is Shaq. Shaq has once again been proving to the world how big of a insecure guy he is, because he's once again beefing with Dwight Howard. I think in a recent podcast episode, I don't know whose podcast, but Dwight Howard was on it, and essentially he was going over how Shaq is constantly, going at him, doesn't like. He believes the reason why Shaq keeps calling him out is because of the dunk contest situation where Dwight wore a Superman costume, and Shaq, I guess, thought Dwight was trying to beat him or replace him because, Shaq, one of his nicknames is Superman. So Dwight talked about that. Dwight also talked about how he wanted to go to TNT Studios to confront Shaq. And I guess Shaq saw all of this because he went on a Twitter rant earlier this week. It's kind of a long tweet, but essentially Shaq was saying how Dwight Howard's a jokester. Why is he getting mad over jokes? And from now on, uh, Dwight is deleted from his life. He's no longer going to talk about him because he does not care. He put a lot of hashtags about how much he doesn't care. Dwight responded, and I feel like some of these responses from Dwight, like, they gotta hurt. They gotta hurt. Talking about how Shaq was jealous of Kobe, Penny, D Wade. He got jealous of Charles Barkley. He called him big and lazy, insecure, stuff like that. Which, like, we all know that Shaq is insecure. He's been jealous of not only his teammates, but he has a long history of being jealous of other big men as well. So that probably hit him hard, especially since Shaq tweeted once again right after, basically doubling down how he does not care, even though he's tweeting about how much he cares about this situation. So I think this is just a sad way for one of the best Lakers of all time to go, because he's just been looking like an insecure old man. He's very jealous. This isn't the first time he's gone into a beef, not only with Dwight Howard, but he's been like calling out other big men like Wemby. He said he was trying to say that Wemby wasn't anything special because Bol played like Wemby first, which is a crazy thing to say. He told Nikola Jokic, like, in front of his face, that Shea deserved the MVP over him simply because he scored more points. We all know that he's been like bullying JaVale McGee for years on Shaq a Fool. He refuses to admit that Rudy Gobert is like one of the best defenders ever, or at least shot blockers ever, and thinks he's overpaid. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Shaq? Like, he clearly has a history of being jealous, and going after people that don't really deserve it. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, what the fact that the thing is, like, I feel like all of this was nothing that we didn't already know. The fact that Shaq is just he's just a very jealous, insecure grown man. I mean, like, he's clearly a grown man. He's 53. Doesn't necessarily act like it. He still acts like as if he's a teenager, which sometimes it's fine to act young. Don't age too fast. But, like, not on this aspect. Just throwing unnecessary shade to any player that you think either puts your legacy. Like, the thing is, like, they're not putting his legacy on the line. He's just jealous of them for whatever reason. And it's unfortunate that Shaq and the White are having this beef, but, like, pretty much everything the White said was like 1000% accurate. Like, yeah. And I think that the jealous comment was where he nailed it, because, like, Shaq, we all know, like, if it wasn't for him being so jealous of, like, Kobe, for example, and they were able to stay together for, like, either their full careers or at least like another 5 years, maybe, they would have won, like, probably for sure at least 1, 2, 3 more championships, thanks to Shaq. That never happened. And that is, like, literally the tipping point where you don't even need, even if none of the other stuff happened, we still know a lot about his character. And it's funny because when Dwight put that tweet, Shaq tried to claim, like, as if he didn't give a damn about it, but, like, clearly he does. He's just coping, being in denial. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. Like, Shaq is obviously one of the greatest big men in the history of the game, one of the greatest Lakers, and he is a really funny dude in general, but a lot of his NBA takes are just not good, man. And he just a very sensitive man. Like, yeah, I don't know what to say. I wished he would be able to just grow up from all that stuff, but clearly that's not something this guy can learn. So, in summary, is all of this that has happened is not necessarily anything we didn't already know of, but without a doubt, Dwight is completely correct and Shaq is completely wrong. That's all I gotta say, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Kobe situation. I made a TikTok on this earlier this week, and I brought up all these examples of Shaq being jealous throughout not only like his post career but his career as well. I brought up how the if Shaq and Kobe didn't argue, if Shaq just listened to Kobe about putting more effort, stop being lazy, they could have stayed together longer and made and won more championships, just like what you said. And in the comment section, I had this guy saying I don't know Paul because he said that Shaq was the only reason why they won all three of the championships, as if they didn't have like a loaded roster, including Kobe Bryant. I also said in the video that Rudy Gobert was going to be a future Hall of Famer, and everybody in the TikTok comments were flaming me as if the man doesn't have 4 DPOYs. If you have 4 of those, you're going to be in, like Dikembe Mutombo, or who else has 4? Was it Ben Wallace?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, like you're in the Hall of Fame. I didn't say he was gonna be first ballot, but I said he was gonna be in the Hall of Fame, and everybody was saying I don't know ball. Everybody was saying that Rudy Gobert is ass, which like he is in a way because he doesn't have like a bag, but he's still like an efficient scorer and an elite shot blocker. So I don't know. That pissed me off seeing all those comments about like how Shaq didn't ruin a potential like 6-ring dynasty with Kobe, and how I don't know ball because I thought Rudy Gobert, a 4-time DPOY, would make the Hall of Fame. But people on TikTok should shut up because like they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, the Shaq Kobe comment is clearly just Kobe hater. Clearly not a ball knowledger. So yeah, you can put that one down the rug. And then as far as the Rudy Gobert stuff, I mean, sure, you can make a case that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but like obviously despite him not having the bag on offense, his defensive presence is undeniably still like one of the greatest all time. And as you mentioned, the Dikembe Mutombo and Ben Wallace, just to name a few guys who are really great on defense, ended up getting in because of that. So I guess time will tell, we'll see, but I feel like he probably will get into. I mean, I wish that he had a better offensive game, but I think his defense just might be enough, honestly, to get him in.
Yeah, it's not like I said I wanted him to be in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of players that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but they are. But because of how easy it is to get in there, Rudy Gobert is going to be a Hall of Famer. So, I didn't know that was a hot take, but apparently, if you don't watch basketball, that's a hot take.
Yeah. Yeah, Shaq, man.
Speaking of Shaq, let's talk about Mini Shaq, actually, aka Zion Williamson. If it's okay with you, if we could move on.
Yeah, we're good to move on.
Okay, because he did return back this week, which I was gonna put in the W list. He returned, Kawhi returned. I was gonna add that to the list, but stuff happened. So Zion did play one game against the Timberwolves. He had 22 points, so not bad. But a few days later, he did get suspended for one game by the Pelicans for being late to his flight to Philly. And, with this kind of pissed me off a little bit because for the longest time, we've been hearing these stories about how Zion doesn't really care about basketball. He doesn't care about staying in shape. He doesn't put a lot of effort in, so similar to early Shaq, I guess. So we keep hearing these stories, and I keep like trying to support the guy because when he's on the floor, he's looking great. But now you're being late to your flight to Philly, where you have an important game to play because you need all the wins possible. Like, I know it's over for the Pelicans, but still, let's not go out this bad. But no, you were late. You got suspended for it. And I think this is just a sign of like poor leadership by Zion, honestly. Like, he's shown times where he could be a great leader, but seeing stuff like this, seeing how like he doesn't really care for his body, seeing the lack of care is very disappointing to see from the former number one pick. But yeah, this was kind of a recent story. I don't know if you heard about this one. Did you hear about it?
I'll be honest, not a whole lot. I've kind of been lagging a little bit on some of those news headlines due to like Izzy and whatnot this week. But yeah, not a good look for Zion there. Nonetheless, yeah, I think that he was, as you mentioned, on the verge of being on W list for his first performance, but because of that incident, definitely totally shifts to the L list. And haha, funny enough, the Pelicans ended up winning in Philly anyway, despite him not playing. But yeah, man, hopefully Zion like gets it together and can beat some of those allegations. I mean, like the lazy, the out of shape, all that. Like, come on now, man. Because when he is healthy, he is a really dominant force to be reckoned with. So yeah, hopefully he gets it together. Until then, it's tough, man. Obviously missing a lot of games due to injury. He had a relatively healthy year last year, and then back to the injuries we go this year. Very Kawhi-esque. I mean, obviously Kawhi was also very injury prone, had one relatively healthy year, and then again really injury prone again this year.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk a little bit about him and the Clippers later, but right now regarding Zion and the Pelicans, yeah, not a good look there.
Yeah. And he's now getting like bust allegations because of all these injuries, which pissed me off. I sent you the TikTok earlier on how these guys were debating who's a bigger bust, Zion Williamson or Ben Simmons, and everybody, including everybody in the comments section, was saying that Zion was a bigger bust than Ben Simmons. Most of the argument was because of how great Ben Simmons' span was for like those first 4 years, but like, and the argument as well was that Zion never plays, even though Ben Simmons is known for not playing, not even due to injury, just by refusing to play. This is crazy. Like, when Zion's actually on the floor, the Pelicans are great. They were like, I don't remember if it was last season or 2 seasons ago, they were like the 1 seed for like a month because everybody was healthy. Zion was killing it.
Yeah.
So
I remember it was 2 seasons ago when they were the 1 seed for a good while until like January. I don't remember if Zion was healthy most of the time though.
I think
he might have been.
They stopped being the 1 seed because he got injured.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean you're a bust.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're a bust if you get injured. It just shows that you're amazing, but you don't play. Ben
agree.
Simmons doesn't play, and he not good either. So like, why is he not a bigger bust than Zion? So yeah, that just pissed me off this week. I've been pissed all week.
Yeah. I agree. Ben Simmons is clearly a bigger bust than Zion, and funny enough, do you remember both of these players going into the draft were once upon a time compared to LeBron James? Like,
Yeah,
very bad look, honestly.
they were both so hyped, and it did not pan out at all. Even though they
Yeah.
both had great stretches, I think Zion could continue being great if he stayed on the floor. I think it's over for
Yeah.
Ben though. Like, there's no way he's coming back playing like LeBron
Yeah.
again.
I feel like the best thing that Ben Simmons could do is like a decent bench warmer, but he's definitely not going to go back to his Philly form. That's for sure.
Yeah, like, I can't believe they're saying the guy that can make a layup is not the bigger bust. Like, this is
Yeah.
insane.
The dude that is scared to even shoot a three-pointer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Enough of that though. Before I get even more angry, let's move on to a few teams. Would you like to start talking about the Suns that are in the L list this week?
Yeah, so this week the Suns did happen to win a few games. They won in Philly earlier this week and they beat the Hawks at home. But despite these two wins, Suns are clearly worthy of the L list due to a very tough stretch they had been on aside from just these two games. Um Obviously they were on the L list last week and they were on a long losing streak. And despite these two wins this week, one loss in particular was a really bad look that stood out. So, following the win in Philly, they immediately lose to the Hornets, who were on a 10-game losing streak. So, obviously, very bad, embarrassing feature there. Because, like, right when you thought maybe this team could have possibly turned a corner by finally ending the losing streak, they immediately lose to the team that was on the longest active losing streak in the league. So, yeah. A while ago, they were losing when KD was out, but then KD returned and they're still losing. So, yeah, it's been really rough for this team. So then that brings the question, are they going to be very desperate to the point they're going to trade for Jimmy Butler?
They might.
They might, and that would be really funny, not gonna lie.
I heard a rumor that Kevin Durant would sign an extension with the Suns if they were able to trade for Jimmy Butler. And I also heard that Bradley Beal wouldn't mind going to the Heat and waive his trade clause. I think for the Heat, the Lakers, and some other team that I forgot.
Yeah. I hope he stays away from the Lakers, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
me too.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who that other team was. I forgot, but I think I did see the report. Was it like the Nuggets or like the Warriors or something? Maybe
something like that.
know.
Those were actually the two teams I was thinking of, but I don't entirely remember.
which are also teams that Jimmy Butler was connected to, but I think those two teams are not so interested anymore. I think I heard a rumor that like the Warriors are not necessarily interested in Jimmy anymore. Not sure how true it was, but it seems like the Suns are probably the most interested one.
Yeah,
And
I think
honestly,
the Warriors were eyeing Vucevic at the moment.
okay, interesting. But nonetheless, haha, it's funny. KD is like a simple Jimmy Butler would make him very intrigued to sign an extension. Honestly, good luck to the Suns, man. You guys are not gonna win anything. Like, even if you make that move or not, like you guys are honestly trapped, man.
I do think it's an upgrade from Bradley Beal, who
For
hasn't
sure.
been having like an awful season, but he's not scoring 30 points per game anymore.
Yeah, I think the main thing about Bradley Beal is his contract. and injury prone. Like, if he was the Washington Bradley Beal, then it'd be a different story. Then maybe more teams will actually want him. But yeah, Suns are not in a good position right now, and they have been losing a lot. So clearly worthy of the L list for those reasons.
And I said that Bradley Beal has been doing good, but he did get benched with Nurkic this week. That's a move that Bud did do this week. Trying
and
something new.
I believe the Philly game was the first game after that move, and then they happened to win. So shocker. Yeah, well, they're 2-1 since making that move, so maybe they are turning a corner. We'll see. But yeah, I think we can move on to the next team on the L list, and unfortunately, that would have to be our team,
No.
the Lakers. So 0-2 week. Both losses were in the state of Texas. First loss against the Rockets, then loss against the Mavericks. Now, the Houston game, I'm not going to entirely blame the Lakers. I thought we played a respectable effort. It was close against the number 2 seed in the West. Lakers honestly got screwed due to horrible officiating late. So what happened at the end? Lakers are down by 4. Actually, I think they were only down by 3 at this time. Yeah, they were down by 3. Max Christie was trying to inbound pass, and he throws a really bad pass to LeBron, and it ends up going out of bounds. But LeBron was clearly signaling timeout, and somehow the ref did not see him. Like, how the do you make that mistake, man? Like, a lot of times when fans complain about officiating, it's like excuse making. This is not one of them. This is actually validly the referee's fault. And then the Lakers had to foul. I believe this is when Şengün went to the line. He makes the first, misses the second, so now Lakers are down by 4. And so Lakers inbound again. LeBron makes the 3 that would have cut it to 1. The refs call offensive foul. I don't remember what the hell it was, honestly, but pretty much point blank from there, they had to foul again. This time Fred VanVleet is on the line. Once again, make one, miss one. Lakers are down by 5, and then they missed. Game is over. So, tough loss. Was a close loss, but really it was bad officiating that really cost them like what could have been. We don't know. But it was the second game that was really a bad one. And that was when the Lakers just got absolutely embarrassed and destroyed by the Mavs by 21 without Luka or Kyrie playing. It was a Klay Thompson legacy game. Oh my gosh, that was crazy, man. Like, that was like prime Golden State Klay Thompson again. And we were getting cooked by him, man. That was embarrassing. And then since then, obviously, we'll talk about some of this stuff later, but Lakers were supposed to play a third game against the Hornets, but that got postponed due to the LA fires. So that being said, the Lakers only played 2 games this week, and I think it's a little bit of a mix, pick your poison type, because one side of things is like it's a nice little break for this team. Second side of thing is NBA is going to have to reschedule these games, and so that means they're not going to have as much rest later on in the season, which could mean that they're going to be more worn out heading into the playoffs, and this whole entire in the moment nice break thing could backfire at the end. So not sure how to feel there, but yeah, obviously safety first. It was the right move for the NBA to do that, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Lakers can get it together with this short little break, but gotta see actions over words.
I will say I did try to check out that Mavs and Lakers game, but I was just seeing Dinwiddie and Klay Thompson cooking the Lakers, so I had to stop watching because again I was getting pissed off. Like I was getting pissed off a lot this week, for many different reasons.
Fortunately, I did not watch that game, but when I saw the final score, I'm like, what the fuck
No, it
happened, man?
was
This is
it
embarrassing.
was not good.
I
No
mean,
Luka, no Kyrie, just PJ Washington in the game cooking us.
no Daniel Gafford either. I think he also got hurt the game before. It's like, what the hell? Like, if anything, obviously it should have been the other way around. We should have destroyed them, but
Yeah,
somehow they destroyed us, man. Like, that was a very embarrassing and honestly a laughable game. Like, come on now, what are we doing, man?
there was that cool
Um,
LeBron dunk though, where when he switched his hands
um,
on Lively, what a contender for dunk of the year.
yeah, man, just completely overshadowed in the blowout loss, but a nice play for sure. But I think maybe that is enough Lakers talk, which unfortunately is bad and not good. And so now we get to talk about the Clippers, the other LA team also on the L list. So the week started off good. They had handily beaten the Hawks in Kawhi's first game bad. Everything went downhill from there. Second game was against the Timberwolves in Kawhi's second game back. Struggled, only put up 8 points on 3 of 11 shooting. But the bigger story was the fact that the Clippers were up by 19 in the first half and completely collapsed in the second half. As the game went down the wire, Ant was able to ultimately make some really clutch shots at the end, and the Timberwolves were able to pull out for the victory. So that was an embarrassing second half collapse for the Clippers. And then the second game they lost this week that was also an embarrassment was against the Nuggets, who were on a second night of the back-to-back without Nikola Jokic. And after only 2 games back, Kawhi Leonard was already out once again. And the Clippers ended up getting absolutely destroyed by the Jokic-less Nuggets. They never had the lead, trailed by as much as 29, and they ultimately lost by 23. So, nonetheless, it was a rough week for the city of Los Angeles, whether basketball-wise or the LA Fires-wise. So, I guess pray for Los Angeles in more ways than one is what I gotta say here. Um, yeah. If there is nothing else you would like to add on to the Clippers, I think we could go on to NBA news,
Uh,
and that's where we will extend on LA. But is there anything you would like to add before that?
no, not really. I think we should move on to the LA Fires, which we've been like sprinkling in throughout the episode because it's a big deal. Like it's actually a very crazy situation. I'm sure like everybody who's watching this knows about the situation. Everybody knows about this. I actually got a DM from one of my subscribers from my music channel, just telling me that they were hoping I was safe because they knew I was living in SoCal, and was hoping the best for my family. And again, luckily, we're like an hour away from LA, so we're a good distance away from the fire, so we're all fine. We're good. But it's been a crazy sight to see. There's been a lot of insane videos and pictures and stories coming out of this fire that's rampaging throughout parts of LA and surrounding areas. There's been homes destroyed, schools destroyed, art galleries, museums, stores, and it's a very sad situation, for sure. And it's affecting the NBA as well. As we talked about, Kawhi did recently return, but he had to step away recently as well. So he played those 2 games and then he had to step away from the Clippers once again to deal with the situation with his family. JJ Redick his home was burned down. Steve Kerr's childhood home was burned down. I believe you already talked about this, but the Lakers had to postpone 2 home games, the Hornets and the Spurs game. And it looks like the Clippers also had to postpone a game versus the Hornets. And yeah, it's been a very crazy situation with these fires. I hope nothing but the best for everybody involved, not only in the NBA world, but everybody over there that's dealing with those fires. Luckily, there's been a lot of people that are volunteering, that are trying to help, whether it's like providing food to firefighters, providing clothes, and other donated stuff to people affected by this. I think Mexico just sent their firefighters like today or yesterday to help with the fires. So nothing but love for everybody going through all this. We both are Lakers fans. We're both LA fans in general. I love going to LA. I have family there. I hope they're doing well. So it's sad to see this happen to one of the greatest cities, like, in the world. Probably the greatest city, in my opinion. And obviously it's not just LA. There's other places being affected as well. So it's definitely a sad sight to see.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough out there. Obviously, seeing all the different venues, sites, houses getting burned down, man. It's been crazy. Definitely wishing the best for everyone out there, families, households, everyone, and hopefully the fires can go down quicker than not. But yeah, it's been really tough times at the moment for LA, and yeah, wish the best for everyone. And so now it's a little bit questionable, up in the air. Like, obviously, at this point, basketball is second because the fire and lives are clearly number one. But it brings a question like how exactly the NBA will want to go with like the Clippers and Lakers home game scheduling at the moment. Perhaps will they Lakers and Clippers need to temporarily play somewhere else? Whether it's I don't know, maybe like
The Honda Center, maybe?
I was gonna say like maybe Honda Center, OC, um, in another state potentially, or maybe even like San Diego County or more like Central California. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, like, um, yeah, it was so earlier in the week. The LA Rams were supposed to have a playoff game at home against the Minnesota Vikings at SoFi in LA, but because the LA fires, they relocated that game to Phoenix, Arizona, at the stadium that the Cardinals play at. So, obviously, the fire is affecting a lot of things. Well, obviously, not just sports, but like life in general. So, we'll see how the NBA goes with like the scheduling of home games for these two teams. But hopefully, they are able to get things resolved soon. And so, as we cannot emphasize enough, we continuously pray for all the families out there and wish nothing but the best for everyone.
And shout out to the firefighters, the first responders, the volunteers trying to help out with the situation and doing good out there when, the city needs it the most. So shout out to everybody helping.
Absolutely. Shout out to all the first responders. You guys are the MVPs, and thank you for everything you do.
Last thing, before we end things off, we got some more bad news, but this one's, basketball related. Jared McCain is officially out for the rest of the season. He got injured earlier this year after looking like the runner or front runner for Rookie of the Year. And yeah, he will be undergoing surgery on his right knee. He's had an amazing rookie season with 15.3 points, 2.4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, with 46% from the field, 38.3 from three. So it sucks that one of the most exciting and entertaining rookies this year is going to be out for the rest of the year, especially since he was looking so good. He was the only bright spot in Philly for the longest time. And yeah, he just provides such great vibes as well. He's a cool dude, so it sucks that his rookie year had to end this short.
Yeah, man. I mean, before he went down, he was the clear-cut Rookie of the Year favorite with how hot he had to start the season, especially with Embiid and George out. And then he gets hurt, and unfortunately, that's when, like, obviously the qualifications come in, probably no longer eligible. And now, unfortunately, that puts a nail in the coffin. So then at this point, the Rookie of the Year, like, odds are looking very questionable because, quite honestly, a lot of those rookies behind him have not really been, like, very consistently impressive. So I feel like this might be one of the less entertaining Rookie of the Year, like, runs we've seen in a while. I mean, we have all heard it. Like, this is one of the weaker draft classes in a long time. So yeah, unfortunate there. Jared McCain was one of the key highlights, and now he's out for the season. All I can say is wish him a great and speedy recovery and bounces back strong next season, because this guy was very fun to watch and he is going to be a great player in this league for a long time. So pray and hope for a speedy recovery for Jared McCain. And I'm sure he will bounce back strong.
Yeah, so I think that's it for everything in this episode. Kind of a downer way to end things, talking about some real life tragedies and injuries. So sorry about that, but we gotta talk about what we gotta talk about. We run down the NBA every week, so we gotta talk about it, and hopefully you at least enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like the video. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe even if you liked it so much. If you're listening on an audio platform like Spotify, make sure you give it a 5-star rating and review. Check out our socials. As I said earlier, I dropped a TikTok earlier this week. You never know when I was going to say you never know when we're going to drop more TikToks, but TikTok might be banned in a couple of weeks, so we'll see about that. But yeah, anything. It is. It's crazy. Like, no, I'm not gonna get into this. I was gonna say something political, but yeah. No. Anything you want to say before we head out?
Yeah. Just mirroring Memo's words. Honestly, thank you guys as always for continuing to support our channel. We could not be where we are today without you guys. And if you guys like our content, please make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow us on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, fingers crossed, and YouTube Shorts too. I mean, like, there's a chance we will be needing to do YouTube Shorts more, barring what happens with TikTok. Well, hopefully we can just do both of them, but
yeah, I've been uploading our TikToks on YouTube Shorts, so there will still be YouTube Shorts, but no more TikToks.
Yeah. Yeah, potentially even more YouTube shorts, I guess is
Yeah,
what I meant to say.
yeah,
But yeah, nonetheless, make sure you guys stay tuned. We will continue to come out with bangers. Obviously, we mentioned before like ideas of what could be coming soon, like a potential NBA All-Star Edition episode and all that stuff. So stay tuned. You do not want to miss it. And we look forward to continuing to entertain you guys.
yeah. I'm excited for the content we have planned out. So make sure you subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you all next week. Good. Bye.